Well, it's British and it's legendary tier, but it's not the Daring, it's the Conqueror. And yes, you have clicked on the right link again. It is me, TONIK TZW. This is the right channel for you, and I am in a battleship. What am I doing? Because I am very much putting myself out of my comfort zone, and I decided to do this little whizzy clip of looking around the ship in all its splendour at the start of the video, because I thought it looked quite nice in its perma camo. I don't know if that's the original one or if it's something I put on. I forgot to have a look. But if you do play this ship and you have any recommendations for a build other than what I'm playing on here, I know that I've got Will to Rebuild on there, but I'm probably better off with Fight Fire with Fire. So if you've got any suggestions for builds using standard, or if there are any premium commander builds that you'd recommend, please do drop it in the comments and I'll set it up and give it a go. Every so often I like to play ships that I wouldn't usually play. I obviously have my favourites that I will always go to for getting through the weekly missions quickly. But I decided that, let's do something a little bit different with this one. Now, as you'll have seen from the splash screen, it is a reasonable amount of damage, and I do pick up a high caliber. But that isn't to say, it's an absolutely amazing, outstanding match. But the reason I thought that I would save this one and share it with you is because you know that I love playing Legendary Destroyer, especially the Daring. And so here I'm taking out something that I wouldn't normally play, just to try my hand and see how well I can do. Now, yes, I am reversing at the start, I know, but that is because I want to get a better angle backing up and then push across to the right hand side, because I want to support my destroyer as he pushes into ACAP. And when I'm in a destroyer, you'll know I'll always say, please do try and support your DDs, do what you can to help them to take the capture point. Now, with this being a battleship, and I'm often very unfamiliar with the trajectory and the velocity of the shells, but see, that looks quite decent there on that Worcester, and we land a Citadel on them. That's a 21,000 opening shot, and that had me feeling a little bit confident. Now, I know that the Worcester has radar and he has a lot of HE spam, and I didn't put the team sheet up at the start here, but there is another Conqueror, and he is in division with that Minotaur. That Minotaur is going to play a very clever game, and some of our guys are going to fall into the trap. Now, my one concern at the start of the game here is that we did have a destroyer start on B cap, but he's come across here to A cap, which leaves B kind of undefended. The guys don't seem to be interested at all in Charlie because they don't have a destroyer, and the way the game is unfolding is that red team are sat in the middle of B cap. That's going to be an easy take for them. Everybody's run away from C, nobody's going near B, and everybody is just stacking up near the back of the map at the end of that long chain of little islands. And I was just kind of shaking my head and thinking, come on guys, you can't just sit there. You need to put yourself in a position where you can actually see something and shoot at it. Obviously, that would be a lot easier if they had a destroyer on that side of the map, and that wasn't a very good shot at that Worcester, was it? But these guys are on cap. I'm trying to keep an eye out for where that Musashi is because I know that I'm kind of broadside to him. The Worcester is using the trajectory of his guns to be able to get off the top, and although I don't have a clear shot, I've got guns loaded and I know I'm about to disappear behind this island, so I've got time to take a shot and know that I'll be able to reload by the time I get around here. Now, this Des Moines is going to prove to be a bit sticky. as you can see, and all I can think is he's sailing round, staring round his gun barrels. There is the Conqueror, and we would be a very easy shot if that Conqueror put some fire onto us now, because it would have gone through the Des Moines and then into me. But here we go. He is slightly angled. I'm just looking. I'm thinking, can I finish the Worcester? No, he's still behind the island. Let's try a shot on the Conqueror, and then let's try and get dropped out of detection so that he isn't going to put a shot on us. And it's an absolutely terrible salvo, but there is a wall of skill heading towards him out there from one of our destroyers. Now red team have got 2 caps because blue team just don't want to go near them, apart from here on Alpha Cap, and they keep getting reset. I'm looking at the Conqueror, I'm looking at the Worcester, I'm thinking who's going to be best for a shot here. Those torpedoes are running. We put the salvo out, and then we're going to turn immediately hard left. There's the Khabarovsk. So destroyer spotted. Those guys, if you look at them stacked up, there's I think 5 ships stacked up on the end of that island now, and this is where things are going to get a little bit silly, because that Minotaur and that Worcester are just raining AP and HE down onto us, and I don't want to be in the way of that. I like to keep moving, I like to keep maneuvering. I don't want to be just sailing in a straight line, letting these guys get a bead on me. And this is it. Look, it is complete fireworks. I know that I'm going to have to put a turn in, and that could potentially put me at risk from the Conqueror. But this Worcester is just sailing around spamming his guns. I have no idea what this Des Moines is doing, but he obviously doesn't know that I've T-boned him. But that's rid of the Conqueror, so there's less risk of fire now. We're actually sailing into the cap here, and we're going to get a cap assist. I just wish these guys would stop shooting, stay undetected, let the cap turn, and then you can open fire again. But it's frankly ridiculous. Legendary tier, you're never guaranteed as to the quality of the team that you're going to get. But there's the Khabarovsk again. He hasn't got me spotted. I think the Conqueror has got me spotted, but one of our destroyers is heading in that direction. We've managed to account for 2 ships. Now, if you look at how much damage I've got now, my overall game total is not going to increase by much. But I'm in here, and I've got air capture assist. The Minotaur is still doing his best to try and whittle me down and force me into some turns, potentially putting me broadside to the other Conqueror. But we're not going to do that. We're going to try and get our guns on and do some damage to this Khabarovsk. He should be focused the entire time that he is spotted. So we put a few shots out on his way. We take his rudder. We drop behind the island. The Minotaur is kiting away with the Conqueror and the destroyer. Now, this is something that you should always try to be aware of in a game. If you look at the map, a lot of our ships are very, very far back, which means it's going to be difficult for them to get into the capture points. The Conqueror and the Minotaur are kiting at least 2 ships away, one of the destroyers and the Des Moines. And so I decide that I'm not going to get kited away by them. I'm going to turn and I'm going to start pushing back across towards Bravo Cap. And I'm getting incredibly frustrated at the moment by all these guys sitting back. I know there's a Shimakaze out there, and I really wish that our destroyers would actually do something to get him spotted. But one of them is heading across to Bravo Cap. So I'm no longer spotted. How are those shells looking on the Conqueror? No, we absolutely miss him. And so I'm going to continue my very, very slow trek across towards Bravo Cap. The guys at the back there, it just seems to be that they're in reverse and they're tanking, and some of them have decided to turn and head across in this direction because they know that they're being chased by a Shimakaze. You can see that our destroyer and the Des Moines are still chasing the Conqueror and the Minotaur, when they could potentially let those guys run, cut across to Bravo Cap and help turn that a little bit quicker. There is no point, if you're a destroyer, chasing behind ships across the map. You may have the speed to catch them and get in torpedo range, but if you're firing torpedoes from the rear, if you think that a ship is going away from you at 30 knots and you have 50-knot torpedoes, then the closing speed of those torpedoes is only 20 knots. And that gives the red team ship a lot longer to react and respond to where those torpedoes are coming from. So always think about the position. Don't get kited away. And always be aware of what is going on elsewhere on the map. We've got a Salem, a Roan, a Shimakaze. The Shimakaze is there between B and C caps, behind an island. I can't get a shot on him, but one of our other ships does. I think the Khabarovsk might be trying to hunt him down. And the Khabarovsk, seeing the sense after playing A cap, has pushed through B and is going to push all the way across to Charlie Cap 2. I know that Shima's out there. I'm keeping my eyes on what else is going on, and I don't know whether or not this guy got disconnected or whether he quit when he realized the game was practically up, because it is 8 ships plays 4. And the division of the Minotaur and the Conqueror are continue to run away across the opposite side of the map. The guys who were stacked there at the back of the map against the chain of islands, they've accounted for the cruiser, and so they are feeling a little bit more confident. They've got a destroyer on their side of the map, and they're pushing in. Now, Rubicon M here is sat flat broadside to pretty much everything here, and he is DC, or at least he gets a 0-0. So I'm going to see what I can do once my guns are clear to try and pick up a little bit of extra damage here. So we get the salvo off, we get spotted. Now, we weren't spotted by him, which means the Shimakaze has line of sight to us. But even then, on a static target, that puts us up to the 139k with a Citadel. We get the high caliber medal, which is 30% of the overall red team hit points. The Shimakaze has been taken out of it, and our Shimakaze is still chasing the Minotaur and the Conqueror along the back of the map. The Khabarovsk is pushing down from Charlie Cap towards them, so those guys are going to be in a little bit of a destroyer sandwich, which is good for us and not good for them. You can see now that those guys who are at the back, they're still nowhere near to actually being near a capture point. So if we hadn't have been able to turn the tide a little bit and secure A cap and B cap, and red team had stayed in position to hold those, this would have, I think, most certainly been a defeat for us, because those ships wouldn't have had time to respond. It looks like the Minotaur has popped his smoke. The Shimakaze has got his torpedoes going through there. The Conqueror is just out of range for me, and I'm thinking I'd love to have another kill out of this, but it's not going to happen. The Shimakaze eventually captures him, and we got 2.5 minutes on the clock, 950 points. The Minotaur isn't going to come out of his smoke at all, and I was thinking I'll just blind fire a shot. But then why blind fire a shot? We've got this one in the bag. There's no point in trying to win harder. I'd like to thank those two guys for doing what they did and running away and kiting the team away, because it took you both completely out of the game. It did take our Des Moines out of the game as well, and he paid for it with his life. But here we go, looking at the end stats of the game. 139,000 damage, high caliber, only the one kill, 3 citadels, but somehow we managed to finish top of the board with 2,575 base XP, which is actually quite a reasonable game. Certainly for me, in a battleship, at legendary tier, finishing top of the board is something that I wasn't expected. So let me know what your builds are. Let me know if the Conqueror is one of your favourite ships in the comment. Don't forget, smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. You can tip me if you think I did a good job in surviving there. Until next time, take care of yourselves and goodbye.